Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times columnist Jim Stewart's with us at Post 9, is handicapping some of the applicants, narrowing down the potential cities to about 6: Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Philly, Toronto, Chicago, and Boston. Jim, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Good to be back.
If you had to put money on one, which would you do?
Well, I put those 6 in order, and Pittsburgh is the top of my list. Nothing is perfect given all the criteria that Amazon put out, but I think their first, and they said of paramount importance, is something they called site and building. I thought, well, wait, what does that mean? But after doing a lot of reporting and conversations, they want an urban infrastructure that Amazon can integrate into, where employees will not be locked up in some kind of isolated headquarters, but they'll be mingling, they'll be going out into the fabric of the city, they'll be drinking their fancy coffees, going to artisanal cheese shops or whatever you do in Seattle. And this is important to their culture, it's important to the creativity, it's important to attracting the kind of workforce they want. So I basically said, to find that kind of urban core, you need one of the older cities in the Northeast or the Midwest, and that's kind of started my analysis.
A lot of the city's pitches have been, help us reinvent our entire city.
Right.
Does Amazon feel that's their responsibility? Do they?
Well, no. I mean, their primary responsibility is to shareholders. But if reinventing the city means working to the benefit of Amazon, I think that does appeal to them. I mean, I think it's really interesting that recently they moved into the old Macy's headquarters, or they're going to move into the Macy's headquarters in downtown Seattle. And I can tell from talking to Amazon people, they're really proud of that. They love that. They love the idea that they're repurposing this kind of historic structure. Of course, the irony that they're moving into what was once the major retailer in America, if not the world.
I mean, some people might look at that and think it's like the final knife.
Yeah, let's put that aside for the moment. But they like that kind of thing, and I think they see it as both. There's mutual benefit there. It's benefit to the town, there's benefit to Amazon, and there are synergies there that will help them both. And I went back and read some earlier columns of mine on Amazon, and something that Bezos said early on that really struck me was, when all is said is done, he wants something that he and Amazon employees can be proud that they created. And I think they've passed that threshold with what, look at the earnings today. I mean, the juggernaut that Amazon today is, I'm sure, is beyond anything maybe even Bezos dreamt of. But now, I mean, again, when factoring this in, they could move. They're not going to move to New York. Amazon coming to New York isn't going to change anything, not to mention the fact that it's really expensive. That would be some kind of incremental thing. But if they move to a Pittsburgh or a Baltimore, number 2 on my list, that was kind of a surprise to me, or Philadelphia, this is transformative. Somebody will look back on those cities in the future and say, there was before Amazon moved in and there was after Amazon moved in.
Jim, you keep saying moved. They're not moving their headquarters, but that's what's interesting here. Did you pick up anybody explaining to you why they need a second headquarters and whether there's a concern at all in some way? I mean, I can't think of another company like this that has two.
There are a few. I interviewed this expert in Switzerland who has done some pretty deep studies on companies that have done this. Most of them are global. They want a headquarters in, say, Asia and Europe, but they have different markets like this. This is very unusual. I think the number one reason is they're bumping up against the limits of the talent pool in Seattle. They're bumping up against the infrastructure of Seattle. They've got 44,000 people working in Seattle now. Can they have 100,000 people working in downtown Seattle? I just don't think that's feasible. So I think that's number one. Number two, they really don't want to get caught up in this headquarters syndrome where it's some kind of like, that's the brain, and then everybody else is in this kind of as a second-class citizen. Yeah, like a bureau or whatever. And this is going to send them. First of all, they're going to have another, 50 to 100,000 people working somewhere like this, and they're going to feel empowered by it being, and so there's a lot. I think there is a lot to be said, given the size and the scope of what Amazon is doing.
One of the key takeaways I get from your article is they don't want people to have to drive to work. Well, they want people to walk. They want them to take public transportation.
Well, I don't know that Amazon cares that much, but the kinds of people they hire and want to hire want to walk to work. They're not interested in driving a car. They want to ride their bicycle. So again, one of the things I looked at was where are the people who walk and bike, and where are the bike paths, and where's the infrastructure to support that? And again, that you come back to the urban concentrations of the older cities in the Northeast and Midwest.
Some have argued that Bezos is playing these cities in a very public, almost gauche kind of way. You think that's fair?
I don't think that's fair. I think they truly, again, because it's this Amazon thing. First of all, they're getting enormous publicity out of this, but they're opening up this competition. They want to see what kind of creativity can we trigger. In other words, how can we leverage our size? And then, I mean, they're not urban planners, but let's get the experts in here and see how creative other people can be.
Are tax breaks not important to them?
They are important, but I think looking at only as tax breaks is too narrow.
Okay.
What if, for example, they said, we're going to guarantee a certain number of jobs for the graduates of your high schools? I mean, or we're going to offer that. You know, there are all kinds of creative things they're going to be looking for in terms of incentives, not just dollars and cents.
Gives us a chance to draw a line between Amazon and some of these reports about wholesale pharma licenses and what CVS is reportedly up to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to put too much emphasis on that. I mean, but I'm sure looming in the background for the drug companies is, I mean, it's an obvious target for Amazon. They're going to mow down grocery stores. You know, what's to stop them? This is another retail transaction, which, by the way, I think as anybody who's a customer feels the experience could be greatly improved, and online could go a long way towards doing that. But I think you have to see CVS, Aetna. This is a big insurance company melding with a retail operation, and we'll see what kind of synergies are there. That's really a vertical integration. Amazon hasn't shown much interest in insurance per se or financial. It hasn't yet shown any signs of wanting to be a financial services concern. I mean, but who knows? Maybe one of these days it'll be a bank, and you know, why not online banking? So I don't want to say never, but I think Amazon is a threat on the retail level, but that this insurance angle is a clever way of sidestepping the direct competition.
Pittsburgh has falling water and the Warhol Museum to add to the attractiveness of Pittsburgh.
Well, I can't say I've been to every one of these cities. I've been to all the 6 finalists, and Pittsburgh, I think, has been underestimated for a long time. It has a very attractive urban core. It has a very vibrant sense of reinvention there. A lot is already happening there.
Big sports teams.
It's got the sports teams. Pittsburgh has a lot going for it.
Yeah, I think we had Rendell on a while back talking about the impact of Carnegie Mellon. Uber's done some driverless testing there. I think it was maybe during the campaign when the president was saying some disparaging remarks about old economy cities, and people said actually Pittsburgh is not one of those.
Right. And actually, again, Baltimore, let's not underestimate Baltimore. I mean, people think of The Wire and all they think of is drug deals going on there. But I got off deliberately once on the Amtrak there, and it's a fascinating city. It's, again, great infrastructure downtown, underutilized buildings. It was ranked by this tech survey, number 11 in the country for tech workers, actually ahead of Pittsburgh. So again, I think Baltimore has a lot of slumbering potential there that people don't recognize.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.